It is 7:04 on a Tuesday night. I am headed to the gym. Motivation is about fucking 2 or 3 out of 10. We get chatted about like all the time, like people constantly, right? Like on social media and everything else, talk about discipline over motivation. Man, if you're gonna be successful in life, you're going to naturally have to drain the tank in a lot of areas, right? So like for me, I would rather be the best father I can be, the best husband I could be, the best business partner I could be. I'd rather be all these things over being the fittest I can be. Therefore, once I get to the end of knocking out these tasks that I didn't intend on taking as long as they did today, I had a whole bunch of extra stuff. I get to the end and now my motivation to work out is super low. However, I do really honestly believe that it is what a man does that makes him special, not how he feels. And so in keeping consistent with that, I'm gonna go crush these fucking weights. All right, just pulled up to the gym. When I turn this truck off in a minute and I decide I'm gonna get out of this vehicle, at that point, I already have to have made a mental shift. So my mindset is like, when I go in there, I don't have to be some kind of freaking ham from the start. I'm just going to do the small things. I'm gonna start by working my abs. Why? Because A, I hate doing it. B, it doesn't require a giant level of warming up to start working your abs. That will start to build a little bit of motion, a little bit of energy, and I will parlay that energy into some actual motivation once I get going.
The dash is digi, the schedule busy, my head in a hoodie, my shorty a goodie, my cousins are crazy, my cousins like boogie. Life is amazing, it is what it should be. Been here for 10, but I feel like a rookie. I tell her look up, cause it's snowing in Tussies. Booked for 3 years, man, you can't even book me. It's me and Lil Baby, the shit going crazy. Weezy produced it, and Weezy have made me, and she held it down, so she got a Mercedes. Your Money Records, the Army, the Navy. It ran me 10,000, I threw it like Brady. The foreign is yellow like Tracy and Katie. I trust in my niggas, they never betray me. Met all these niggas, they sweeter than Sadie. When I started out, I just took what they gave me. Did all the favors, they never repay me. It worked in my favor, cause nobody saved me. Brand new whip, got no feel, just play shit. Get my blood just to read up, and he was like, yeah. 9/11, no knowledge,
And that's a wrap. So, low motivation, high discipline, get it in. What's up, studs? Hey man, I hope you guys enjoyed some of that. That's just some authentic look at what it's like. Sometimes we don't feel like doing stuff, but we're gonna have two values, and when two values collide, the value that you value the most, the belief that you have of the highest, is gonna be the one that wins out, right? In as much as you are able to be honest with yourself about what is the outcome and the impact of your decisions. I was chatting with my son the other day, right? And I said, listen, if you go to take a test, right? You're in class, you go to take a test, and you go in and you are an emotional wreck, right? Like, I mean, your freaking dog died the day before, you got in a car wreck, it's the roughest week that you've had in your life so far in these 14 years. It's super terrible. And you go in and you take this test, right? And you get 100 on this test. Regardless of what your feelings, regardless of what your emotions were, the outcome was 100, right? So you did your best, right? If you go in and you feel fantastic, it's the best day ever. You're feeling good about life, all right? Then you go down and take the test and you make a 60 on it. The outcome is a 60. It doesn't matter what your feelings are. It doesn't matter what your emotions are. You will have certain actions, and the byproduct of those actions is going to have an outcome. And so when there are two values in place, and one of those is your emotions that you don't feel like doing, and the other is the emotion or the value of, this is what I believe to be the right answer, the outcome will come down to the decision you make based upon those two values. So what is the dirtiest word in the English language? What is the real bad 4-letter word? It's rough, guys. You might have heard of it before. You know what? I'm going to leave you hanging for a second. So I'm 37. I'm about to be 38. I was not a Christian much growing up, right? So don't worry. You don't have to click off. We're not coming in hot with Christianity right now. I wasn't much of a Christian growing up. Not until I was about 20, let's say 6, somewhere in there. a longer testimony how I got to that point. But long story short, how come? Well, I grew up in Christian America, so what was the problem? I would go to different churches as I was forced to do as a child. And what I found is as I looking around, and I'm like, none of these motherfuckers are like me in here. None of them. Everybody's soft. They got the sweetest handshakes there are. In fact, my wife used to make me go to church with her, and I would block people's car in on the way out, right? This is what an asshole I was. I would like block their car because I was checking for authenticity. So I would block their car where they couldn't back up, right? So this is where their car is, and I would just pull up behind it. And I would just sit there, and they would be like, sir, can you please move? As nice as possible. And I'd be like, yeah, in a minute. And I would just wait. And they'd go, sir, can you move your car? And I'd be like, uh-huh. And then I'd be like, hey, can you move your fucking car? And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. I knew it was in there, right? And so I would literally just go and push buttons at people as a young man until I would get a not nice response. I would poke them. Everywhere I went, I'd walk in, hey, it's the most blessed day. How you doing, sir? And I was just like, this is feels so unauthentic, right? Like, I realize that these people are trying to be honorable. They're trying to live out this value that they really believe, which is nice. And that's the word, right? So what is the dirty word? It's 4-letter word. It is nice, N-I-C-E. Why do I say that is the dirtiest word in the English language? Because it is the one that creates the belief and the value that absolutely is the opposite of taking care of your neighbor. And here, let's take a look. So what does nice mean? Well, the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition, the first line of that is polite and kind. What does it mean to be polite? Man, that's a great question, right? So what does the word polite mean? Well, the word polite is having characteristics of an advanced culture, right? Marked by refined cultural interest and pursuits, especially in arts and lettres, right? So whatever that means. What does that mean? What does it mean to be polite? It means that you're highly civilized. Well, the truth is, guys, if you are an uncommon tribe, if you are an uncommon man or an uncommon woman, you're going to probably have to be uncivilized inside, but you can be civil to others. I want to be, as Jordan Peterson said, I told my brother this actually about 4 years ago. He's like, what are your goals? I said, man, I just want to be dangerous. I want to be as athletic, jiu-jitsu wise. I want to be as good as possible. I want to be the best, freaking striker. I want to be the most intelligent I can, which is one of the reasons I decided to go to law school. I want to be as dangerous in all these areas as possible, right? Because I'm dangerous, I'm able to be civil, but I'm not polite. I'm just as civil as possible. And in fact, when you elevate niceness and when you elevate politeness, you actually won't be kind, right? So before we look at kind, let's take a look. For you Christians out there and myself, I do consider myself a Christian now, but only in the sense of a follower of Jesus. I do not consider myself a cultural Christian, right? So Christian America, you know what? Which brings me to another point I was going to bring up. All right, real quick before I get into this, there's a great potential for me to harm a lot of feelings with all of the honesties that I plan on putting out into the world. I believe that whatever that you believe as a person, whatever your value system is, should start with challenging yourself. Is this something I really believe? Why do I believe it? What's the epistemology for this belief? Where did this come from? Do I really think this is the best way to do it? Do I really think that this is the honest answer, the truth? And after you have challenged yourself at a highest level you can, you sharpshoot all your own stuff, then at that point, if this is truly what you believe to be the honest answer, I do think, even if you believe completely different than me, I do believe that you should try to impact those around you as much as possible and allow yourself to be impacted. So before I murder everybody with some honesty on here, if what I say really jams you up, you got one of two options. One, you can do what everybody else does. You can be real common. You can hop in the comment section and start killing it like that cat. You can start commenting out. You can go like, I can't believe that he said this, blah, blah, blah. And you can just murder it, man. You can just put a whole line that absolutely nobody's going to be able to hear what your nonverbals are, the tone of your voice, none of that. It's just going to be your flat comment of pure fire, right? That's one option. Option number two is you go over to www.theuncommontribe.com. If you're curious why we didn't just go with uncommontribe.com, it's because that was costing $5,000. And the domain The Uncommon Tribe .com was not. It was like 97 cents, right, to kick it off for the first 2 months or something. So full transparency on that one. Go over to theUncommonTribe.com, and when you get over there, what you are gonna find is you're gonna find a very easy to fill out request discussion form, right? It says, let's have a discussion. Fill out your info and a brief description of your differences in beliefs, and we will schedule a time to have an unedited chat about it. So here's the deal. If you are greatly offended by what I have to say and you feel like your belief system makes so much more sense, your belief system is so much more of a founded thought process, maybe I'm wrong, hop on there, fill it out. We will record you and I chatting about it, or you and one of the tribe members chatting about it, where we can get an honest conversation, some real conflict, and get to the bottom of why you think what you think and why I think what I think. And it won't be based around some I gotchas. It won't be edited. It will be authentic. It will be the way that it is. And maybe I will learn, maybe you will learn, but either way, we will grow in the process. So option 1, be common, be a goofball, do what everybody else does, make absolutely zero impact. Option number 2, hop on there, come tell me why I'm so off base, and maybe we shall learn together, right? Or possibly maybe you'll learn something as well. If we both approach it humbly, and I don't think that that's going to be agreeing. In fact, I think we don't need to agree. I think we can learn from each other in spite of that, and maybe our belief systems will be shifted one way or the other in the most edifying way. All right, so Christian America is one of those things that if you ask anybody and they go, well, I say, what's a Christian? And I ask you right now, you go poll some people. The answer you're going to get is, well, they're nice. Well, truth be told, if that's true, let's take a look. How many times is the word nice used in the Bible? In the King James Bible, not one, not a single time. It is the cornerstone of what people think a Christian is supposed to be, and it's not used one time. Not one time. In the NLT, right, which is the only translation that translates this more than a single time. It's in it a couple other times, like in the NASB, or actually not a couple. It's in it a couple different translations one time. The NLT uses it 3 times. The first way that it uses it, which I think is the only way the word nice should be used, is enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. This is Ecclesiastes 6:9. Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless, like chasing the wind. Well, what are nice things? Well, as you go on in the Merriam-Webster, the definition you're going to get is pleasing, right? Pleasing what? To the eye. Nice things are pleasing to look at. And where does that word come from? Why do we end up using it? Well, people want to be pleasing and nice to the eye. The Christians want to be perceived and seen as nice because it's what they believe Jesus was like. Was it what Jesus was like? We'll take a look. So nice is used one time in the NLT there, and then 2 more times. And let's take a look at how it's used here. Isaiah 30:10 for you guys that want to look it up. They tell the seers, right? That means people that are forward seeing, right? Stop seeing visions. They tell the prophets. And what is a prophet? A prophet is somebody who has been given an explicit thing to say or prophesy from God. And if anything short of that comes up, they're not a prophet. That's the metric. Don't tell us what is it. So to wind back so you can hear it, they tell the prophets, don't tell us what is right. Tell us nice things. Tell us lies. That's right. Nice things are lies in this context. Jeremiah 22:23. It may be nice to live in a beautiful place, paneled with wood from the cedars of Lebanon, but soon you will groan with pangs of anguish. Anguish like that of a woman in labor. Right? On the back of what? On the back of what? On the back of living in nicety is where this happens. And so, like, why is this such a problem? Because if you elevate nice beyond just being polite to the common person, because there's nothing wrong with a little respect, there's nothing wrong with being a little kind towards others, there's nothing wrong with being a little nice towards others, nothing wrong with that at all. But when you elevate the word nice as a belief inside of you, the truth is you will avoid conflict at all costs. You will avoid conflict with your spouse. You will avoid conflict with your family members. You will avoid conflict with people at church, with people at your job. You will avoid conflict at all costs because you want to be nice. And the problem with avoiding conflict is bitterness grows inside of us. What will happen when you avoid bitterness will grow. Why? Well, let's take a case example. Let's say you are at the church, right? Again, I don't even go to church. We read the Bible every single day as a family, but I don't go to what somebody would consider a church, but we do have an assembly of believers that do studies together. So by the context of how is the word church used in the Bible, yeah, we go to church. By the context of how is it used in Christian America, we don't go to church. So let's say somebody is at church and you have this lady, Rebecca, and Rebecca makes the worst fucking cookies you've ever had. They're terrible, but she's got a big heart and she cares and she wants to make an impact. Well, church is trying to raise some money for whatever. You know, you got kids that are doing some kind of activity, whatever, doesn't matter, something that's awesome and edifying. And Rebecca makes the worst cookies on the planet. Worst cookies anybody's ever had. Rebecca's got a big heart though. Rebecca shows up and she goes, hey, I was thinking that we could do a fundraiser and I'll make some cookies and we can sell these things and it'll raise a lot of money. And they got 12 people in the room with her and they're all sitting around and they're going like, in their mind, they're like, damn, Rebecca makes terrible fucking cookies, right? They're nice. They might not say the F-bomb. Dang, dag blasted. Rebecca makes daggum terrible cookies. But I'm not going to tell her. You tell her, no, that wouldn't be nice, right? And so then what happens is they give her a soft no. So she brings it up. Nobody really addresses it. They give her a soft no, right? They go, okay, yeah, well, let us think on it, right? And so nobody addresses it. A little bit of time goes by. Rebecca comes back up and she goes like, hey, we didn't really get an answer. Would it be possible for us to do the cookie drive? And again, they're all still thinking the same thing. And everybody is nice from their knees up to the top of their head, as nice as possible. And they're not going to be honest with her. Well, what's going to happen is Rebecca's going to get another soft no. And then a little bit of time's going to pass. And now Rebecca's going to start to get some real bitterness inside. And she's going to be like, man, I keep trying to bring this up. Nobody wants to be honest with me. And now, instead of having honest conflict, loving conflict, what's going to happen is you're going to have a schism of relationship. And this is what happens when we elevate nice above love, because love is honest, guys. Love means that you're willing to have conflicts, and the people that you love the most, you will probably have the most conflicts with. That's normal. How do we conduct the conflict? That's for another conversation. But to be honest and to be as loving as possible in that and say, Rebecca, I don't know any way to tell you this, and this is probably going to hurt your feelings, but it is not my intention. I think your cookies do not taste very good. I'm sorry. I know that makes me an asshole. I'm not trying to be mean, but they taste terrible. Okay? And then inevitably, if you're the only person that's willing to be honest in the room, Rebecca will go, is that true? And the 11 other people would be too nice. And they're going to go, oh, no, we don't feel that way. And now you're going to have some real problems in the bitterment, right, between people. But the honest people are going to be like, yeah, they're really not good. I'm sorry. Can we take a look at your recipe with you? Is there something we could do? And then Rebecca goes, you know what? I was never a very good cook, but I do like to cook. I would, does anybody have a recipe? Can somebody show me? Can this? You can have an honest conversation. I'm sure it's going to hurt Rebecca's feelings. Nobody likes hearing that anything that they do sucks. But if you love people, you actually want to impact the tribe around you, you want to be uncommon, you cannot elevate nice above honesty, truth, and love. And so, what would I say? I would say, let's kill the nice. We can be civil, but inside, let's make sure that we're dangerous and uncivilized. So no matter what, I have enough confidence to give love and kindness to people and not just be nice.
Yeah. The dash is digi, the schedule busy. My head in a hoodie, my shorty a goodie. My cousins are crazy, my cousins like boogie. Life is amazing, it is what it should be. Been here for 10, but I feel like a rookie. I tell her look up, cause it's snowing in Tussies. Booked for 3 years, man, you can't even book me. It's me and Lil Baby.